Hello techies, I'm Divya here. On behalf of CyberBrainer, don't you think the world of tech is evolving faster than ever? Now is the perfect time to dive in and build the skills that will take you places. With CyberBrainer, we are putting you in the driver's seat of your own future. We at CyberBrainer don't just teach your interest. We believe that knowledge is power, but it's applied knowledge that truly sets you apart. Whether you're diving into data science, mastering artificial intelligence, or exploring the world of cybersecurity, our courses are designed to give you the skills that matter. So let's jump into the session and make the future yours today. Thank you.
Let's understand the overview. What are the different topics we can handle in MM? And how you are going to manage your business? Like here, most of the things is you need to understand how your business is giving a requirement and how you are converting with respect to SAP. Generally, any enterprise organization, they have three types of data. One is a configuration data. Another one is a transaction data. And what does it say? Master. In the configuration data generally, this configuration data first, we are going to deal with the organization data. Organization or enterprise structure being like different ways. Company code, purchase organization, plant and the storage location. These company and company code both are much more related to the financial representation of any organization. And the purchase organization is profit and loss, different chart of accounts and different currencies. That all like a financial related transactions you are going to handle at the company and the company code level. Next is a purchase organization. This purchase organization is a kind of an enterprise element which mainly deals with the procurement of material. Like these guys, people will be there for the negotiations of the prices, signed contracts. That kind of all things can be handled by the purchase organizations. The next one is a planter. Generally, most of our operationals can be happens in the planter. What does it mean by planter here? Planter is an organizational element, or it is a place where you are going to handle the procurement of material or manufacturing of this material or production of these materials and stock keeping unit. These all things we are going to handle in the planter. The purchasing activities you can see here, the sales activities you can see here, and production planning activities you are going to see here. All those things we are going to see in the planter. The next is a storage location. Next is a storage location. The storage location is a place where you can store the material. Generally, once a production has happened, if you want to keep the stock in a particular location, then it is called as a stock keeping unit. That's called as a storage location. This company and company code generally handled by the finance guys. The purchasing organization, plant and storage locations, we are going to handle at the organization element level. This is about the thing. After the storage location, also we have the storage type and bin storage area. This all will come under the way, those management. This is about how we are going to handle this one. And now you can see the organization structure. You have company and the company codes and purchase organization and the plans, and you have the storage locations, and you can see the purchase organization. This purchase organization will be three different ways of business uses. If the plant, the purchase organization specific to the plant, then it is called as a plant-specific purchase organization. If the purchase organization is related to multiple plants, then it is called as a cross-plant purchase organization and central purchase organization. This is about how the organization structure we are going to have made. The next is a master data. This master data, the data like it, is a masterpiece for your organization of production. The data which is stored for a long time and not changed frequently, which we call as a master data. What are the different things will be available in the material master data? In the master data, we have material master and vendor master and info record and source list. These are the different. One more master we have is a quota master. After that, in the material master, what are the different things will be there? In the material master, like for example, if you consider about the photo, you have the manufacturing unit to make the finished product all into our finished product. For example, you consider it is a car. Car is your final order. To manufacturing this car, what are the things you need? You need the different finishing materials and different raw materials and different semi-finished and packaging materials. There are the different kinds of the materials you need. Here, this material master can segregate for the different material types like raw materials, semi-finished and finishing materials. SAP, given standard material type around 40 place different types of the materials we are going to use here. Next is a control functions of material master. What are the control functions like material type and industry sector? The material type is nothing but it is a raw material or semi-finished or finishing materials. And the industry sector means SAP given segregation. Like industry sector means it is a which kind of industry, like it is a manufacturing, it is a pharma, it is a chemical. That kind of segregation we are handling at the industry sector level. This is about the material. Here we are going to learn like the configuration, the standard configuration, how we are going to do, and you're going to do how to create the materials like one by one. If you want to create the materials like mostly how you are going to create. These things will have in the material master. Similarly, we have a vendor. Vendor is a person or organization who supplies the materials or service to the planter. Similarly, vendor master, we have the control functions like accounting group, vendor budgets, organizations. If we do in the ECC, then we'll call as a vendor master. If we are migrating to the S400, the same vendor, we'll call it as a business partner. That is a thing here. And the next is the info record. Info record is a combination. We are going to maintain the latest prices. Latest price of the particular material and plant combination. Here you can maintain all the latest price of the particular material and vendor combination. and this is a one-time activity. Once you're done, it depends on your transactions, like how many orders you create to the particular vendor. Aspect to update, what will happen? The info record will be maintained, automatically updated in the system. Then info records. We have the different types. We have the standard info record. We have the subcontracting info record. We have the consignment info record. We have the pipelines. These are the info. Records can be differentiated based on the process. What kind of process you are going to handle respect to that info record can be managed over here. The next is a source list. The source list is a list of available source of supply of material. Like for example, I want to procure some sounding system to my Ford. That car. The same material you can purchase from the different vendors. For example, sound system is there that you can purchase from Sony Arman and you can purchase from the LG. There is a different multiple vendors is available for the procurement of that particular material. But you want to know how many vendors is available. If you maintain the info record, and automatically the system will provide the list of the particular material, how many vendors are going to supply this material. And the next is a quota. It is like, for example, dividing the ask. For example, I need 100 quantity. I need some material, but at a time, what you will decide is companies won't rely on the single vendor. They plan for the different vendors. Dividing the task, or like, for example, I have 100 quantity requirement. What I'll do, I'll give 50 quantity to one vendor and 25 quantity to another vendor and 25 quantity to another vendor. That is the way how we are going to handle the quota. Just dividing the ask to the multiple vendors because of the business continuity. These are the different masters we are going to handle in the material management. The next is the procurement cycles. In the material management, the main core cycle is procurement. Generally, we call it as a P2P cycle. How this procurement starts generally? The procurement starts when there is a requirement. These requirements can be handled through the MRP or manual requirement trading. Who will create these requirements? Generally, the production planning guys do this material planning for the production of this material. Either this can be auto or this can be done in the automatically through MRP. Once they run the RP, what has happened? Automatically, systems creates the requirements. Once you get the requirements, then they will hand out to the purchasing departments. We want to procure a material. If they know the vendor directly, they will create an order. But sometimes what happens? They don't know whom they need to procure this material. What these guys will do then? They will go for the quotation process. Quotations are building this process. They will go. What will happen in the quotation process? They will take quotations from the different vendors and they maintain the quotations and they compare the quotations, and the final selection of the quotations is done, and in respect of that, they will raise the purchase order. If quotation process is not initiated, they know for the short term directly they are going to raise the order, or if they want to go for a long term procurement, then they will raise the order. Agreement is called as a contract, and in the contract also they will maintain the price of the material. With respect of the contract, they will create a purchase order. This order will be created and the order will be sent to the vendor. Then order is monitored and vendor will supply the material and we use to receive this material. Good receipt is done. Then we will do the invoice payments. Once you're done the payment, then the B2B cycle will be closed here. Here from the procurement to pay, whatever the things you're going to handle, all under will come under the transactions. This is about the B2B cycle. What are the transaction data you have? We have the purchase requisitions, we have the request RFQs, and we have the purchase order. We have the outline agreements, and we have the contracts, and we have the service entry sheets. What is meant by purchase requisition? As we understand it, is an internal request from the one department to another department to raise the requirements and RFQs. A request for quotations. It is also like a process of quotation of the material. Request for quotation and quotation maintenance and the finalized quotation and purchase orders, like it is a request to supply this material, the service of material. How we are going to create this one? What are the different control functions of the orders and all those things we are going to handle over here. And we can see the contract. These are all the transaction data, how we are going to handle the different kinds of the transactions in the system. It is like a value contract, a quantity contract, all those things we are going to handle. It is a further long-term procurement of the materials. The next is approvals mechanism that we call as a release process. What does it mean by release process? Release process is a kind of approval, approving the things here. What kind of approval? Generally, if you go for procurement, what they will do, they won't directly go for the procurement, they will check for the prices. For example, we want to procure a material. What they will do immediately, they are not interested to handle that directly for the giving your order. It will be go for the different approval process. For example, I want to procure some and wins. Is it genuinely required or what is the budget about that? It depends on the budget check. It will be go for the approval mechanism. Once it is went for the approval and in the organizations, people will be approved. Like the person who created order, he will approve initially, then it will be go for your boss and your boss will be approved. Then it will be go for the finance team and finance team will be approved based on their budget. Once they all approved, then it will be go for the final procurement of the vendor and the order will be released for the vendor. This is like how we are going to handle the approval mechanism. Here the approach can be happen at the header level and item level. Now most of the organizations going to use header level approval mechanisms. This is how we are going to handle that approval process. The next one is pricing procedure. This is a core model for the calculation of the particular price of the product. How the system calculate the final price of the material can be handled in the pricing procedure. These are some technical terms in the backend. It depends on your domestic procurement, depends on your import procurement, and the price will be calculated and handled out. Until this topic, we'll call it as a pricing procedure. Until this topic, we'll call under the concept called as a sourcing and procurement. This pricing procedure is one of the big topic. It is not like a simple how I told. The calculation of this material, the calculation of the material will be, depends on the lot of things here. The final price of this material based on the conditions like the gross price, net price, and on that different prices called the freight toll chart. Then tax elevations will also be impacting the price of this material. Next thing is the pricing procedure. The next topic will be inventory management. These inventory management plays a key role of stock keeping, like how we are going to handle your material. How you want to save this material, how we want to take this material to one location, to another thing. This inventory generally deals with the inbound and outbound of the material and the physical inventory. And stock arrangement and store how you want to keep the stores of this particular matter. All the things will be handled in the inventory management. We have the special procurements. Apart from the P2P cycling that is called as a subcontracting. Here, as you know, like in the contracting process, like we will order some material to the end vendor. And then we are going to share that materials which will be used for the subcontracting to the vendor. And that vendor is going to change. If he going to utilize that material and he'll convert and share the fine material. For example, best example is his angel. Generally, deliveries are not manufactured of the his angel just to do some marketing. What they will do is they will give an order, like they will give a his angel order to the manufacturing unit. But what they will do, they will provide. What are the materials required to manufacturing the his angel? And they will ask, we want this jam to be fixed in the different packaging units like 100 grams, 500 grams, 150 g, all those things. What they will do, they will provide everything. They will provide the raw materials and the packaging materials, everything to the subcontracting vendor. And that vendor is going to convert and just he gives a finishing product. What the subcontracting vendor will do, just he will give the fine-tuned product. And he will take the servicing charge because the materials and everything is provided by the Unilever and just the making charges as the subcontracting vendor will be charged about this one. This kind of process is called as a subcontracting process. And next one is a consignment process. Consignment is a business process like where you ordered material, but the vendor itself maintains the fine materials in our premises. We generally will see in the lubricants when the production plant is running 24/7, you may see any time the shutdown of the machineries. Some parts to be replaced immediately. By that what we will do, we cannot depend on the third party guy and factories will maintain directly engineers. But what we will do, we will get the materials ready, but we won't pay that particular materials. We will tell you to the vendor, whenever I procure this, whenever I utilize this material, I will do the painting. Until that, I don't do the payment. Even though the material will be there in our premises. That kind of process, we will go for the consignments. Next is the returnable transport packaging. This is the best example, like the cylinders. Like, we will take the cylinder, full cylinder, and we will return the empty cylinder back. That kind of process. We are using the returnable transport packaging. The next is the stock transfers. It is a stock transfer between the plant to plant and one company code to another company code with the 3 different process, like with the delivery, without delivery, with delivery and billing. Next we have the pipeline. Generally the pipeline, we are using the procurement of the pipeline material like electricity, which will get the pipeline only. How you are able to procure this pipeline materials that we are going to discuss here. Next is a physical inventory. It is a checking the stocks, physical stock and book stocks, checking and matching each other. That process will call that the physical inventory. These are all the special procurement process we are going to handle there. Next is invoicing. This invoicing also, we have the MM with the fine integration. But we need to know like how the invoice postings will be happened here. Generally, how the invoice posting will be happened. Whenever they want to post the invoice, they will consider PV price, GR, quantity and vendor invoice. They will post the invoice. Once they post the invoice, automatically the payments is initiated. These are the topics we are going to cover, and one of the hardcore topic is accounting determination. How the system will understand the GRs, auto debit and credit can handle similar automatic accounting determination. When you do the posting, the transaction automatically, amount will be debited and credit. That things can be worked on this entire diagram. How the things will be linked to one to another. This will be understand in the velocity part. Here, see if you see here half of the part, we will handle of the part accounting team will be handled. It is like a handshake always. We need to know, but the most of the things, finance team will be handled. These are the topics we are going to cover in our entire training sessions. Apart from that, some legacy tools like how you can upload the data from one system to another system. And how we can handle the delivery of the project. That project delivery is how we need to handle it, that we'll discuss in our sessions. Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel.